Well, hello, folks. I want to do this live. Had a good day. I mean, it's still ugly in the world of Canada and government. But, honestly, I got up this morning. I watched the sunrise. Been working on my truck for 2 days. Finally discovered a major issue and got it resolved. Wow, still working and getting the rest of it done, but it's very good. But what's not good is the state of Canada, the reality of Canada. I was happy to send a message to Ambassador Pete Hoekstra. I hope that goes well. I'm going to keep pursuing University of Edmonton, Calgary. I want to get those secured. I hope to have a senator, maybe Ambassador Pete Hoekstra, as well as 2 American academics. One is actually brought in by the Trump administration to teach in New York for a year, which brings me to H-1B visas. And to tell you the truth, I got a lot of friends who got in on that. One in particular, and I'm not going to say names, but I know several folks who have those, and that's kudos to them. But now, as of yesterday, Trump is stomping it out. And not friends of mine, people who found a way in that way, but there's a large number of Canadian elites, Crown, who operate on those visas. Well, now, not anymore. So, I'm what would be classified as an easy EB3 visa. Got university, got a good trade, highly skilled in my profession, can do management, stuff like that. But you know what? I'm not alone. There's lots of me in the United States. And all the way up through NAFTA, and before that even, as a Canadian, an EB3 visa. Like I said, if you had a university degree or you were a top-notch trade person, made a name for yourself, highly skilled, and they had a place for you, you were gone. Well, Chrystia Freeland and the powers that be negotiate that out of USMCA, and lo and behold, when COVID hit, and hell yeah, I'm ready to get out of Canada. I've had enough of this. Sorry, Dave. The door to the EB3 visa is closed forevermore to the United States of America. You're not allowed. That's right in a clause in the USMCA. No more tradespeople, not really even any university graduates. Sorry, degree doesn't cut it, doesn't matter. Now, H-1B was for specialty workers, regardless of your education, but up to and including doctorates, people of high profession standing, specialized in all kinds of areas and fields of science, math, engineering, that have established themselves as a specialty group where you don't find that in America. Well, American companies were able to hire people in these seemingly impossible to replace positions from all over the world. Lots of Canadians. Was it justified in more than, I would say, 70% of the cases? No. They didn't qualify for H-1B visas. They're no more qualified than I am. But they know somebody designed that for them. They found their door, found their company, and companies were enjoying that from the United States. If you were hooked up with the right people, that was your way in. No problem. It's who you know and who you blow. I get it. Well, not anymore. From now on, as of yesterday, early, and I seen it, but I just didn't want to go live last night. I was dealing with trolls and everything else, but that's what Trump's doing. He said it'll be $100,000 for every single H-1B visa to the United States. If you need that visa and you're some specialty person, well, the company's going to have to pay $100,000. That way we'll really know if you're legit, or were you just somebody who knew somebody blew somebody? Because if you knew somebody blew somebody, they're going to have to cough up $100K for you. It's a mass amount of visas. It's in the hundreds of thousands. And it's going to generate a lot of money. 200,000 times $100,000. That's quite a bit of revenue for old Donald J. Trump. Of course, a lot of people won't pay their fraudulent attempt to get into the United States and work in the United States under that specialized program. It's going to end. And only actual legitimate companies on the high end are going to pay that because they're legit, which I think that number will shrink down to maybe just a few thousand. So what we have here, folks, as a Canadian, lowly third-class subject, like all of you, whether you know it or not, who are absolutely enslaved and sold out by the crown. It was Chrystia Freeland. Make no mistake. I got a lot of lip trolls trying to deny this. I've been battling on Twitter, if you want to call it that. These people don't even have identities. They won't do any videos like I do to prove their identity. Because do we even know they're Canadian, or are they just paid by the Liberal government of Canada? I'm certain in a large 90 percentile they're paid by the Liberal government of Canada. Or, you know, I shouldn't even say Liberal. Maybe that's too general, because the Conservatives would do it too, NDP. They all do it. If they have reins of power, they have control, they have these civil societies, NGOs, they're paying for it. And they're doing that. So Trump's cracking down. The potential to make a lot of revenue. And a lot of people have commented about this. I think I see you there, Angie. It's true, and it's for revenue. There's actually a good write-up about this that's going through yesterday on the ways Trump's trying to generate revenue for the United States. And this is a tremendously smart way. What I like about it, not for those who I care about, who are not bag lickers, ball suckers, but actually work their way up to where they are in life, and they deserve those, so to speak. It's sad for them because I think their opportunities will disappear in the United States now. I mean, there are visas that are intact right now, everybody. There's people on H-1B visas, and they're usually 3 years. So whatever years you have remaining, you're not going to get hit. But on renewal, you're absolutely going to be gobsmacked with a $100,000 bill, or the employer who wishes to employ you. So if it wasn't done legitimately, and the other party that maybe was paid something like $5K or $20K, I've heard of that too, they're going to now have to say, hey, I need to charge you $100K, and a lot just won't pay that, right? Because it's fraudulent to begin with. So they'll be gone. And that's going to mean a lot of crown-sworn Canadians who generated their wealth off the backs of us, the slaves, the third class. What would be the EB3 visas, legitimate? That used to be just free issue. You, as a Canadian, easily you could go. But apparently, the government of Canada saw a problem with that and wanted to make sure we would never have that open to us as long as we're under USMCA. It was a Democrat senator and Chrystia Freeland. And unfortunately, that's the way it goes. I know with Elon Musk and Trump, many months ago, this was brought up, and Trump talked about, well, we should release those Canadians back to those visas. And Americans got very, very angry from MAGA. So Trump's not looking to roll that out. But again, what's beautiful, everybody, not beautiful, again, for people who actually earned it and did what the visa says you're supposed to do. And that's sad. And I have a friend like that who's probably going to finish out his contract in the next 2 years. And that's going to be the end of him, because he'll have to seek work elsewhere, which he'll get. But he won't be working in the United States anymore. And that is impactful, and that's sad. But all of those seedy, greasy, crown second-class, crown sworn, second-class citizens in Canada with the money, the wealth, well, now they're getting cut out too. The Titanic, Donald J. Trump basically shot all the second-class lifeboats from Canada, the Titanic. So now none of the second-class crown sworn can take a lifeboat out of here. So they're stuck now. If they don't get their citizenship through the current H-1B visa they have, they're certainly not going to get another one. And I doubt very much these folks can generate 100,000 USD out of their pocket to get them, which means they're going to be cut out. So they've lost their lifeboat to escape Canada, where they laugh at us and go, ha ha ha, you, the losers that we've taxed to death, that we put all these policies in, that we debt loaded against you to build our businesses through our loyalty to these NGOs. They're not going to get their visas, and you'll watch, their NGOs aren't going to bail them out. So basically, the beautiful thing last night was Donald J. Trump shot all the lifeboats for all the second-class Canadians. Now, first-class Canadians, your politicians elected an appointment with their fabulously awesome, awe-inspiring pensions and salaries of their oaths of allegiance, the secrecy oaths, right? They're not going to be impacted by this because they don't need any visa at all. They're very, very comfortable with owning a property in Canada and owning a property in the United States, whether they spend 12 months a year in the United States. Their pensions, their lifetime secrecy salaries, and their fat bank accounts will cover them no problem. What's really funny here, though, folks, again, what makes me very happy today about all of it, and I did want to do this live last night on that, but I didn't. But what really makes me happy is now all of their second-class sellouts who they made all these promises to and organized these HB1 visa entries for them at literally no cost and no education or skill requirements, right? It's all fraud. That's over. So now all those people who are loyal to the Canadian regimes are going to be cross with the first class, especially in the next 2 to 3 years. Absolutely 3 years, because even if a person got an H-1B visa last week, in 3 years, that's over. They have a maximum life shelf of 3 years. Now, if you've been on H-1B visas and this is your third one or something, well, then they're going to be alerted that, well, I have to apply for citizenship now if I made the 5-year requirements as they're entailed, and I can do all the civic requirements and tests. And a lot probably will, but not most are ready for that, because again, they weren't intelligent enough or skilled enough to even earn the H-1B visa. It was done on fraud. So they're usually low IQ people anyway. They're just cutthroat sellouts selling out the rest of Canadians, right? So they likely won't be able to pass those tests and get all that done in time. So I think for a vast majority of them, I can safely say Donald J. Trump has sunk their lifeboat. They're stuck with all of us. Now, tomorrow, and this is for Jonathan LaBelle, we're going into Saskatchewan's Foran mine. I'm going to be showcasing, this is a part 2 of basically what Mark Carney says are nation-building projects for Canada, even though most of them were detailed and planned before 2011, engineered, brought forward by 2015. If construction hasn't started, they're nearly already done. Foran Mine's going to be done next year, but it got a big influx, a big bonus from Mark Carney and the province of Saskatchewan for unknown reason, right? It's a nation-building project. But I can assure you, as I'm going to showcase this part too, as I did a part 1, and I show you the financial costs of Canadians, I show the implications for only China, not Canadians. Tomorrow's Foran mine is very, very disturbing. Not only is it not clearly for any Canadians, it's absolutely all for China, all to disrupt the USA and to actually hurt America, America's standing, and many American industries. Designed, brought together that way off of Bank of Canada, Mark Carney, published in 2011, okay? So this is where he wanted to be. He did it under the Conservatives. He's complete sustainable development goals. He's completely tied to London. Obviously, he went to the Bank of London after. But all the institutions he built in Canada first, that's important, everybody. And all these things he crafted, designed, and published against the United States under Stephen Harper, that Trudeau doubled down on, and now Mark Carney has full control over everything he designed for many NGOs. I know some people said to me, Dave, the WEF, guys, Mark Carney and the WEF, that's just one of 28 other massive evil NGOs. That's what WEF is. And there's 27 more than that, directly under the design of Mark Carney way long time ago. And now, from Lord of the Treasury, he's First Lord of Canada. He was also Lord of London Treasury, United Kingdom, guys. This man is very, very powerful. We talk about the Commonwealth, and I get into demonology, because Mark Carney represents a specific demon. I know video game players say, no, it's Asmodeus you're talking about, and other people are looking at everything. Asmodai is actually the real name. It's 2,900 years old in human history. And yes, throughout the ages, Mark Carney comes up to the description of Mark Carney. Asmodeus, same demon, if you want to look at it that way. And I'm not saying I believe in any of this or demonology and all that. I'm just saying that humanity is written about this type of character, this type of human being, in multiple documented histories, yes, under religions, written into holy scriptures, way beyond Christianity. Christianity is the very smallest amount of education on this demon. You actually have to go to Israel and then to Persia way before that. It's huge history, but it's all good, people. All I'm saying is, in these human histories from multiple civilizations, multiple ethnicities, and multiple religions, different countries, not effectual of each other, they warn about this kind of development of humanity and corruption that is the world of Mark Carney, as far as I have ever read in all of my theological studies, which are massive, folks. I've read massive books. I've read so much, I've probably forgot more than I've read. And I don't forget a lot, but I remember things. When I went through the Bank of Canada statement by Mark Carney in 2011 that I published for everybody, and these nation-building projects are clearly for China at the destruction of USA. When I say that, this is at the destruction of USD as the global reserve currency. This is the destruction of Bretton Woods 1. I can't make it up. It's right out of Mark Carney's mouth. Published. Maclean's published it first. And then the Bank of Canada, you can pull that entire write-up authored by Mark Carney, our Mark Carney. And this is right out of the demonology, right out of Persia. All these stories come to pass, how the people couldn't even procreate anymore. The civilization was dying. There's even stories of his demonology. Later, in Judaist and Christian, just recently, where they try to depict that as him killing all the suitors so that the woman could never have children, Sarah. And that is actually listed older as a massive subjugation of people, where the people were so poor they couldn't even afford to have children. What does that remind you of? Canada, Commonwealth countries, UK, you need mass immigration, the legions to come. And if you ever want to look at that and look at the number of Commonwealth countries in this design created by Mark Carney, because remember, he went to the Bank of London after to craft the same thing. And now he's First Lord of Canada by legal definition. That's what Bank of Canada is too. First Lord of the Treasury. Folks, I can't make this stuff up. This is the customary law written in French and Latin, known as Pig Latin, where you get the other textual definitions of Prime Minister, Premier. And I hate to tell you this, it wasn't created in England. It was created right here in British North America. First in France, New France, what is Quebec, and then adopted by British North America Prime Minister. And they really crafted it. All created here in what we know as Canada, that USA in its history fought a war of independence against. That's how evil this is. This is why I say to everybody, Mark Carney is underestimated. Mark Carney's dangerous. And Americans, as much as I love Donald J. Trump, I believe he is grossly underestimated Mark Carney. And I think academia really needs to educate the president. Whether that happens or not, or in his lifetime, I guess we'll see. But is UK to blame? Technically not really. They're more of a victim of Canada than Canada is of UK, as a real perversion of that crown. And it was actually first in Canada and then transferred back to UK. A reverse destruction, right? Which is actually a destruction of the United States of America and the free world. And the plan is to destroy USD. It's to see the BRICS model come to fruition, whether it's under the Chinese yen or what have you. That's what they want to see, or yuan. And that's the scary part here, and it's undeniable. But tomorrow, for Jonathan, I'm going to cut all the slides. I'm going to show everybody all of Mark Carney's lies on the Government of Canada website. I'm going to expose all of that. This is tremendous evil. It had a large impact, all of this research over the last week since my last one, because I deep dived in this. It took a lot out of me. This is, it has a large effect on you. Like I said, I think I'm going to contact Marilyn Burns and another friend of mine, and maybe I might have to be going back to church after this process, or maybe even during the process of these 5 that I'm going to do, this 5-part series. It's having a tremendously negative effect on me, and I know that, everybody. You know, and it's really, and when you add to it all the other evils of government on top, like this morning, I published Danielle Smith's sex changes for children under the age of 18, meaning 16 years old now you can get a full sex change in Alberta. That's the notwithstanding clause she's trying to do. And Albertans don't read fine print. They just blindly believe the government. Americans don't do this nowhere near at the state level, and they definitely don't do it at the federal level. They say, hey, wait a minute. If you start talking about removing my Bill of Rights or systematically, scrapping the Supreme Court over my natural rights as an American that you're beholden to, there's going to be hell to pay. And politicians don't generally even try it in the United States. Even the littlest hiccup in even the name of natural rights can cause so much disturbance in America because it hits the American people at that civics level, and quickly politicians fold. I even think Republicans may fold on a few choices they've made as of lately, and I don't think they're necessarily in the wrong, but it's how Americans perceive it. There's a lot to go through by a beautiful, and I don't want to forget this, that we're talking about it, by a beautiful journalist out of Eastern Canada, of all places, Nova Scotia, from a small community out of Nova Scotia, makes a publication that doesn't match CBC and the rest of it, a very detailed one that really blew me away. This is a Canadian in a small Nova Scotia town who does a piece on Pete Hoekstra that is fantastic. She articulates it well and gets it right and deadly accurate, and I'm just sitting there like, where did you come from? It's brilliant, it's beautiful. I'm going to share a lot of that tomorrow in our space after we go through the evil that really should upset a lot of Canadians. And so for Jonathan, if you're hanging on to this, you're going, hey, when are you going to get to the point of our space tomorrow? It really is Foran and the nation building of China at the expense of the Canadian people to destroy the United States of America. And I mean all those words, and I promise everyone, when you come to this space tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, you're going to be provided with undeniable evidence, and you're going to have a Prime Minister with a publication on the Government of Canada website that I just dispelled as an absolute lie, and really it's a war on America, and there's no way, I guarantee you all this, 100%, there is no way on this earth anyone's going to come forward to dispute what I publish and back up with actual evidence, published evidence, that I think, if anything, should really alert the Trump administration and any Canadians who've been bamboozled, especially the Canadian Conservative. Okay? That's how big this part 2 is. And this isn't even the biggest of the 5. I'm going from smallest to heaviest, and that's why I think Mike Phillip, I got a contact, and maybe I'll tag him in this after, but I think I'm going to need a little bit of religion in this here, because I don't know, you all saw the effects on me, and I know that sounds funny, but when you read so much evil, hundreds of pages of evil, things you don't want to read, but you have to read, it's not like you can close it or a TV you turn off because you have a job to do, and it has that tremendous effect. I don't know what the next 3 are going to do to me, because there's one there that is absolute insane. They're all worse than what I'm going through tomorrow, but tomorrow is so epically evil. It shines such an epic spotlight on both Scott Moe and Prime Minister Carney. You're never going to be the same. And just so everybody knows, I was all supportive of Scott Moe, COP28, the nuclear deal with USA, that this Atlantic publisher presents Pete Hoekstra says, oh, that's off the table now. All of it's off the table. So she published that accurately, deadly accurate, like no other Canadian. I haven't gone through American on the Hill yet, and I don't even know if they were even there, but she did it that way, like an American political journalist being accurate for the American people. That is just wow. And she nailed that and highlighted a bunch that the Trump administration's fully aware. And what I go through tomorrow in Foran, and from this point forward, everybody, you're going to know why USA's canceling all the security deals. They're looking at USMCA, but Pete Hoekstra is telling you all that he doubts very much American companies are going to be on board with any province in Canada or Canada at all. They don't distinguish one province from another. And why is that? As me and Benjamin Ebley have been desperately trying to tell you, as we've had talks back and forth and meetings since January of this year, early January, where we went through the fact that it's 100% free trade in the United States of America. In order to make a more perfect union, 1787, it's been that way for every state of the Union. Americans have never known animosity, backstabbing, or state versus state, or state restricting state and trade, or a state trying to restrict other states from trading to other countries, like what provinces and territories do in Canada, what the Canadian government does. This was purged from USA in the Constitution, Day 1, 1787. In order to make a more perfect union, they adopted 100% free trade, not only for all 50 states, but all the American Indians as well too, which would be cemented absolutely in American Indian civil rights and absolute binding law of the American Indian citizen. So even American Indian citizens have no idea. They look at it like it's all of Canada. They don't care. They don't care if it's premier, prime minister, because they all do it. And Americans have not done that or been that way for almost 241 years. Think about that. Think about that in generational terms. Genetic-wise is how long until it just becomes part of their DNA, right? 4 or 5 generations. Be it Canada, Canadians have lived in this kind of evil forever, normalized it. Well, USA isn't normalizing it. And all of CBC and all Canadian media, elbows up, attacking Pete Hoekstra, trolling Pete Hoekstra, and he gave you those words. That it's cost you all your security agreements, the much bigger agreements, and now we're down to just USMCA. And the only reason why we opened it up is to allow our American businesses to determine what they're going to do with you, because they're going to make the decision. Why? Because America is 100% free trade. But if they say, hey, we don't want any more trade deals with Canada, look out. And Mark Carney designed this in 2011. That's why I say, are you sure, Donald J. Trump? Are you sure? Because to me, it looks like you've grossly underestimated Mark Carney. We'll see. That's my video. I hope, Jonathan, you can derive a title from that. Yes, by the end of the day today, everybody, you will get all the slides on Facebook. I'll tag Jonathan. He can use them tomorrow as I'm going to go through slide by slide. So, that's my video, everybody. Share. Get it out there. It's critical. Be there tomorrow in that space. It's gigantic. I know it's a lot of evil, and I know I've been affected. I know I have. And I took some time today, this morning, God's sunrise. I mean, take it all in, slow down a little bit. But it doesn't change the fact I have much more to go through in the next 3 weeks. Many times worse than what you just witnessed me go through this last week that did a number on me spiritually. Like I said, I'm going to reach out to Marilyn Burns, Mike Phillip on these issues. Maybe I need to get some Christian time in with God, right? A little bit of praying. Okay, everybody, that's my video. Share. Critical. Be there tomorrow. Get it out there. Bye now.